Welcome to Bourbon with the Editor. We are Cutting Tool Engineering, and we're presenting our first live stream Bourbon with the Editor podcast with our special guests from Vargus USA. With me at the bar, our Joe McGee, the Senior Applications Manager for Vargus, and Ed Tischler, who is the Applications Engineer. And we're going to be discussing we're going to get back to the bourbon that we're drinking here tonight. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about Vargus and find out if anyone out there isn't familiar with this cutting tool company. This is a good place to give us a little background.
Vargus is a Israeli cutting tool company. We've been making lay-down threading thread mills for over 60 years. We have a warehouse in Janesville, Wisconsin, and right now we come up with a brand new system of threading. We improve the quality, decrease the cycle time, increase the tool life. There's a brand new system called Mach Supersonic. And with us, Ed's got a very good application at one of his customers. So maybe we can pull up a video here and Ed can start talking about his customer in Michigan.
Sure. Ed, do you want to go to Thomas Sanderson from Adrian Tool Corporation in Adrian, Michigan, or do you want to discuss any?
Yeah.
Should we try to get him right now?
Yeah, if we have him online, we can go that way.
Okay, we are doing things a little bit different today because we had a last second issue that we were going to table the bourbon focus for a minute, so we can get in touch with Thomas Sanderson from Adrian Tool Corporation. Thomas called Ed for help because he was having he had poor tool life.
Yeah, he was having he was doing a K60 Thompson rod shaft, and he was having poor tool life. He called me in to see if I could help with the application. So we set up a time. I ran through the VARGUS GENius software that we have available for anybody to use.
Maybe we could pull up a video of the VARGUS GENius and you can talk about it, Ed.
Yeah, so if we could cue that up, I'll walk through. So the VARGUS GENius is available online. So in this case, we'll be putting in for a 2-inch 12 UN thread. Now, the application we're going to highlight today is kind of special because our Mach TT, it goes to a 55 Rockwell. The Thompson rod actually comes in at 58 Rockwell. So as a VARGUS GENius is, you just answer the questions as they are available. So you can walk through the different steps, answer the questions, and based on the criteria that you enter in, it'll output what tools are available to produce that thread.
Okay, that's a good explanation of what it does. It's another thing to actually use this and see how much time it can save you.
That is correct.
When you're trying to figure out of all the options out there, how are you going to narrow this down?
So based on the criteria of what the thread is, if you want a full profile or a partial profile on tool holders, whether or not you want a solid holder or a coolant through, you can start narrowing down the options and then choose from the list that it gives you.
And it helps you narrow down the list quickly.
Yeah, that is. Oh, yeah.
How long did it take you to get this to this point with Thomas?
So typically on a daily, I will go through this VARGUS GENius several times to help my customers find out a tool that they need. But typically about 20 to 30 seconds for me to type in the criteria and then choose the tool based on what they give me.
Okay. We advertise that the Mach system will reduce cycle time by 60%, increase your tool life by 60%, and give you a 25% cost savings. How did your customer take that when we showed him some of the documentation?
Well, at first he was, of course he was in a situation where
he was using Mach already.
Well, yeah, he had been using Mach already on other applications, but not the hardened steel application. He was using a standard laydown threading insert, and he was struggling to get one bar end. Now, there was 11.5 inches of thread on that, so there was a lot of cutting. He was doing it in 29 passes. With his standard laydown, we reduced it to 9. And then the tool life, instead of struggling to get one end, we ended up getting 4 bar ends.
So I think we have a video of this tool
Yes, we
actually running, so maybe we can pull that up.
Yep, this is the application of the actual tool cutting.
It's about a 5-second long video.
Yeah,
right?
it's a short video, but with the sound.
If you're hearing the sound is it's shrill.
Yeah, it's very. Yeah, it's not making good sounds, but the cutter lasted 4 bar ends. So we produced 44 inches of thread over the 4 parts. So a lot of cutting.
How does the improvements of our cutting tools help? What is the benefits and features of this Mach tooling?
The reduced cycle time, fewer passes. Typically, we start with half the passes of a standard laydown threading. And then if you use our Mach TT holder, it's got the added dovetail to help with rigidity. So you're not holding that whole insert in place with just a screw.
And then we also redesigned the insert completely. We changed the rake of the insert. We changed the finish polish, post polish of the insert. We have a brand new grade and a brand new coating. And then, as you talked about, the dovetail, that holds that insert in there, and there's no vibration at all.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah.
I want to ask about 60% improvement. That's a pretty huge leap from what was being used. Is that just because you brought a certain bit of the evolution of your technology with the Mach system to a little bit, made it a little bit better, but in this application, it just did that much better? Or
Actually,
is this
we
all...
spent 2 years inventing a new way to make an insert. When you do threading, your speed is your material, and your feed is your pitch. So there's only other way you can save time in that is reduce your passes and get better tool life. So that was the whole focus. We start to develop this with our engineers in Israel. So that was it right there. That's how you get that huge saving, is reducing cycle time, getting more uptime for your machine, more parts out the door.
And the tool for Thomas, in an event, from what I understand, having talked prior to this live stream, it was phenomenal and lived up to previous tests of the product.
Absolutely, yeah. After the first test, I don't know if we can queue up the picture of the final product.
So we ran this test in early February, and they're still running these parts and still continuously getting the same cost savings.
Yeah, they continue to make these bar ends, their tie rods for their machines that they make. So they continuously get the same performance out of this product. Yes.
Okay. Why don't we just take a pause here? I don't know that we're going to get Thomas on, but if he does come on, just let us know in the back room there.
It's our first podcast.
It's our first podcast, and I want to take a back step. The reason we kind of went out of order that we were planning, there was an emergency, and we're just kind of rolling with the emergency in the background. And if Thomas can come back on at some point, we will include him in this, so you can hear directly from the end user here, who was one of the reasons we wanted to focus on this one for the first one. But let's take a quick step back, because the way we generally want to start these podcasts, and now and in the future, is to introduce the bourbon we're drinking tonight.
Dennis, you also might as well tell them the story of how this all came about.
Yes, that's a good idea. It's a fun story, because we were drinking bourbon, and actually, I'll start. We were at West Tech, this
We were.
past November, and we just had a meeting after one of the days, and we were just talking about different ways we could maybe help you guys talk about
Everybody
your
wants to be
Mach
on
system.
social media nowadays, and any way you can get it out here, podcasts sound like a great idea.
Yeah. So we're sitting at a restaurant. First, Scott, I've met you before. Scott's in the background back here. Say hi, Scott. We have a very limited audience. Alan Richter, the CT editor at large, is here, and my brother Ken. He's throwing tomatoes at us while we speak. He's the CFO and the sales rep. But yeah, so we're talking, and I'd been thinking about having a podcast started here in our new offices in Arlington Heights, and originally the idea was maybe I would just do it behind a desk sitting here. And well, guess what? After watching a few podcasts online, I realized just how boring that might be. So I decided that a bar might be a good way to go.
Well, you did a pretty good job. This is a pretty nice bar.
Yeah, I think so. And it was exactly what I had in mind. And I don't know, there's a little message up here. But yeah, this bar helped bring the whole thing together.
They just said Thomas is still having a little bit of a difficulty to get on, and he won't be on today.
Oh, he won't. Okay.
Right.
Oh, is that what that was? Okay.
Right.
All right. So there's the part that I think you wanted to talk about. But let me finish my story.
Okay.
So we're sitting there at dinner, and I did say I was going to make this short, but I'm Irish. I can't.
Hey, my name's McGee. I'm Irish.
I got to think of something. This is good, by the way. I had met Joe at one of the U.S. Cutting Tool Institute meetings, and that's where I actually met Scott as well. And we got to talking about bourbon years ago. And so when we were sitting down for dinner, and I brought up the idea, well, I want to do a video podcast. Maybe we could work something in with that. And I said, I'm thinking about bringing in a bar. What do you guys think about, doing a podcast behind a bar? And the first thing, Joe, what did you say?
Bourbon with the editor.
And I said, oh, we got the name right there.
That's right.
So, and we were drinking Basil Hayden at the time, not to plug any particular bourbon, but I'm not a bourbon connoisseur or an expert by any means.
Nor am I.
I don't know.
And nor am I. Nope, I just enjoy it.
All I know is I discovered bourbon and that I liked bourbon when I had a sip of Buffalo Trace at my neighbor's house, probably about 3-4 years ago now. And it's as far as the whiskeys go, this is my favorite brand. And I've started to branch out beyond Buffalo Trace.
So since this is our very first podcast, I thought I would investigate a little bit and see what's the first bourbon that was commercially sold in Kentucky. Bourbon's from Kentucky. We come find out is Evan Williams.
Here it is.
1783 was the first commercially sold bourbon in Kentucky. As far as we know, we're not experts. But that's what it said on Google.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that right on here because he's got it focused on you right now. So that's what they said. It says on Google, and we know everything there is true.
Oh yeah. So we had to go with that first podcast and that first bourbon.
And it is a good bourbon. I'd never heard of this one. I haven't heard of most of the bourbons out there, but this one is really, as far as I know, it's obscure for me. But it's, what? I guess there aren't too many bourbons I haven't really liked. So I guess it's not too surprising that I liked it.
Yeah. So I thought it was very good myself.
So that's how we came up with this idea, and Dennis and his team has made a very, very nice set here for us to work on.
And so I kind of wrap up this part of it just by saying the idea behind this is, so I hope this is somewhat entertaining for the audience. And I'm assuming that there's a lot of my family making fun of me out there right now, but I'm hoping that there's a lot of machining professionals out there who are interested in learning something while they learn a little bit about bourbon and watching some guys drinking at a bar, because I know that's always fun.
Well, they made a whole TV show about that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I tried getting Norm here, but yeah. No.
So, and our idea is each podcast we have, we're going to have another type of bourbon, famous bourbon. I don't know. However we pick it out. Sometimes it's one of the members here bring in a bottle of bourbon, and that's going to be it.
And that with every episode we do, we're going to try a different bourbon. And you see some bottles behind us. Those are the ones we're starting with. We got a head start on some of them, but this is a great bourbon. Whether it's true or not, if it was the first bourbon or not.
You know, like you said, everything on Google's true.
That's right. That's right. So cheers, you guys.
Cheers, guys.
To the
Cheers.
first one.
To the first one.
Yeah, that's good. Well, why don't we covered the Genius.
Yep.
Why don't we see if we can do that overview?
Yeah, let's see the overview.
The overview of the Mach TT video, Tim, if you can pull that up.
So the idea behind the Mach TT, if you can see the video, the standard insert. I'm not sure how many passes it takes, but the Mach TT typically
15,
is half the passes, and it's highlighting the dovetail, the insert, the new design to pocket, and how it fits in the pocket. Also, when you do run our holder coolant through, the coolant is available is delivered to the cutting edge, both from the top and the bottom, to get the coolant where it needs to be.
If you get coolant on your tool, right where the cutting edge is, it usually gives you about a 15% better tool life. So that's something when you run a lot of parts or a lot of difficult parts, it's a big cost savings.
Yeah. There's some points I think that I'd like to go back over.
Sure,
I mean,
absolutely.
If there's, when it comes to Adrian Tool and the thing that, and beyond Adrian Tool,
yeah,
one of the things that we've been discussing since you got here yesterday, and we've been kind of did our little test yesterday. We were talking about the skepticism from some of your customers when you start telling them about some of the performance results that you've been getting.
Yeah, a lot of the times when a customer will have an issue or send out a request for for me to visit or to provide some tool information, I'll run it through the Vargus GEnius to output a summary, and then I can email that summary to the customer. And a lot of the times they can be very skeptical with what I give them, because they're like the Adrian Tool test. They were doing 29 passes. I suggested that we do it 9, and it is 58 Rockwell Thompson rods. So it was skeptical, but they were in a situation where they wanted some help. So.
And you mentioned that before, and 55, 58. Was there any hesitancy by Thomas to give it a go, even though it was not really according to Hoyle?
No, they were on board. They were in a situation they wanted to see if they could improve the process. So the operator that I worked with was Ryan, and he was more than happy to change up the tool path, and we ran it at the 9 passes, played around with speeds and feeds a little bit, and then came up with what we ended up getting for bar ends. So
if someone wasn't used to using some of the other tools in the line, how do you have what's it taken to get past that disbelief that no tool can be that good? Because let's face it, there's a lot of hype out there when someone's trying to sell you a tool.
But when they first brought the tool over from Israel and said we had this great new design, they didn't even have a name for it yet. And I've been doing this for a lot of years. I'm starting to get a little gray. And we tested some, and it was every bit as good as the designers said it was. So you just cannot imagine how people take this and say, there's no way you can reduce the tool pass by half.
Right. Yeah. So a lot of times when I get in a situation where they are a little skeptical, I just offer a free test, and I'll provide the tools at no cost to the end user, and offer to come in and show them how it works.
So the reason I stepped off is that we have a couple of questions that have come in.
Okay.
And by the way, thanks for letting me know, Josh. The anytime that somebody wants to submit a question, just whatever social media channel you're on or whatever it is, just go ahead and submit your question. They will try to get it out to us, and as long as we are paying attention to the iPad here, we're gonna address the question. So we have a question here. Can you remark on what types of threads can be made with the Mach TT system?
So right now, we do all the standard UN, MPT. We're filling out this line as we go, but all the most common, the most sold that we sell there is all made right now, internal and external, and more every day is coming online. It's a big undertaking. There's hundreds of thread types out there, and so that's what we have right now is the top 70% of all threads that we sell. We sell a lot of threading inserts. Well, just to develop a new grade is a major overtaking. You got to come up with a new substrate. You got to test it, and you got to do shrinkage for pressing and all kinds of stuff. So it takes a long time to come up with something new and real inventive like this.
Okay. There are no other questions right now from anyone out there listening. But if anyone does, just submit it and they'll let us know. But I still, I know how difficult it can be to convince someone who is being sold product.
Correct.
By and if there's one thing I've learned from Jeff Badger, the grinding doc, he's got a PhD in grinding. He's basically gone around and consulted with shops all over the world, and he tries to help them sift through the hyperbole and bring it back down to reality, what you can expect out of a wheel, and what can it do, whatever it is, the type. So when something like this comes along and someone says you're going to get 60 and you're going to go from 29 to 9 or whatever it was.
Yep.
Now, Thomas was used to that, but his expectations were already there and ready to test it out.
That is correct, yeah.
So some other ones, can you talk about any company that you weren't able to break that with, and then suddenly you got they had an emergency?
Correct, yeah. I've had a customer where they were very skeptical. They were running another insert, and it actually took that insert to become out of stock in order to get the call to go in to test. So, when we first started talking about it, I had ordered up the test just to make sure that I had the insert to cover that thread. But it took 3 months, and then I got the phone call and made arrangements to go over there. So
you got to remember, usually in a manufacturing process, threading the hole is the last process. So you have all this time in making this part with all the other processes. So the threads, if you go oversize, if you break a tap, if you mess up a thread, get bad finish or something, you can scrap the whole part. So when it comes down to the last step in threading, you got to be it right and do it right the first time. So that's what Vargus prides ourselves on. We can come in, show you how to make those threads the right way, as most economical as possible the first time.
Cool. We have a question from Jeff asking if Vargus grades are offered for a wide range of materials.
Well, actually, the nice thing about the Vargus, the Mach TT, is it's offered in VK8, and it covers all materials from 1018 all the way up to aluminums, hardened steel, one grade, all of them, stainless, iron, everything.
Heat-resistant alloys.
Yeah.
We a firm belief at Vargus that we want to keep as least amount of inserts grades. So when you have that in your machine and you have the different inserts in the toolbox, all you'd have to do is change the speed, and then you put our threading insert in, and we'd be good for whatever material you're running. So we keep it limited down to an all-purpose grade for all materials.
Well, that's good. I want to know what Jeff might be drinking tonight. If we can get the questions to go in the other order. By the way, Alan or Scott, if you want to ask something, go ahead. We'll just work it in. If something occurs to you.
Well, I'm just curious about the grade. Can you the substrate rather of it? Can you describe it, and not to give away any proprietary information, but what might have changed, or what sort of enhancements to the substrate?
Hang on. So Alan Richter is in the background here, and you may not have heard that too well. So he's asking if there's been some change in the substrate of the in the grade of these.
What you do when you
tools.
pick out a substrate, you want to have a binder and then a carbide powder mixed together, make it tough and hard so it would withstand any materials or the hardness of the material. So that's a very tight ratio you have to work on for many months. So that's what we've done here with our new VK8 grade. It's tough, but it's still hard. And then we have a nano coatings. The coating really performs when you get it to the right heat where the coating can protect that carbide. So it's a long process with many, many, many hours of testing to come up with a new grade and a new substrate with a new grind all in one.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and is this sintered or
No,
ground?
This is a fully ground. He asked if it was a sintered insert or a ground insert.
Yeah.
And all our Mach tools are fully ground insert. They are for high precision, low tolerance, accurate machining. So that's what this is for.
And this is why I wanted Alan in the cheap seats here, because he's so experienced.
Sure.
John is wanting to know, can the Mach run on my machine with low RPMs?
Absolutely. We tailor this to pretty much any machine. Depending on what you're running, I think, with a little bit of testing, depending on how low he has to go and, diameter and whatnot, I think it would be something at least to try.
Yeah, when we develop a new grade, we have to look at, some people don't have the newest machines. They don't go out and spend $1 million for every machine. So you got to have a grade that works on an older machine with lower RPMs and lower coolant pressure. Also, you got to have a grade and a geometry that works good for the brand new machines on high coolant pressure and ultimate speeds.
How low could you go?
Well, depending on the diameter, because surface feed's based off of that. So a lot of the times, there's not like any magic number of how low we could go, but, if he can maybe add in some criteria like diameter, thread pitch, and
So
stuff
John,
like
if
that.
you're still out there, give us some more details, and we may be able to better answer, more fully answer your question for you.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean it can't be that black and white. So
No. There's a lot of criteria in this. So the more we know about the thread that he's producing and material, that would help as well.
And that goes back to the whole reason for the GEnius.
That is correct. Yeah. A lot of
because
times, the GEnius can answer a lot of the questions. Oh yeah. So
The question.
the question that just came in was explain the dovetail. So our insert has a dovetail ground on it. Our insert fits into our tool holder, and there's a dovetail ground into our tool for maximum rigidity and to help.
top corner.
Yeah, and to help take some of the pressure off that screw. So the idea behind the dovetail is to take that pressure off the screw, which would help us take less passes. It's able to take the stress off that screw. So
Yeah, I saw the way that was done, and you have a video that shows kind of the difference between that and one without that
We'll see if we
dovetail.
can get Tim to queue up.
Yes, Tim,
the,
if you can
Mach.
why don't you just bring up that video that we showed earlier?
So this is just going through the difference between a standard insert and the Mach, of how many passes the Mach has done. The standard tool is still going. And then here's the dovetail feature of it. The screw goes in. I believe it highlights the added support on that insert.
You could see it there.
Yeah, yep.
And maybe, yeah, here too.
Yep, there you go. That's where the dovetail is to help support that insert in heavy and deep cuts.
All inserts vibrate in a pocket. Every insert, no matter what kind of pocket you're talking about. So if you can reduce the vibration in a pocket, the more you can reduce it, the better tool life, better quality of threads you're going to make. So after long research, we came up with this: a dovetail on the top. When you clamp it in there, it pushes it down tight into the pocket on all three sides of the insert.
That's very cool. Oh, is this line offered for Swiss applications?
Yeah, we have a full line of holders for the Swiss. Yes. Yep.
So is that, I mean, when we're talking about how many?
Oh,
different
so
types of
I believe we go down to 3/8, 10 millimeter,
10
and then
millimeter.
up. So 5/8 or half-inch 5/8, and then 12 millimeter. So we do a full Swiss application for this as well. And Capto, yes.
Yep.
Yep.
I think it's time to drink, you guys.
I think it's time.
And I don't. We haven't heard back from John, at least not yet. But you know that this is just over 2 years,
Yeah.
right, out on the market, and we did a little video at IMTS early after its debut, right?
I think that was IMTS 2022. Yes, I believe so.
Was it?
And that's when it was introduced.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was brand new. Testing was hardly completed then. And but now we have quite a few test sites. We have quite a few customers across the whole United States, Europe, everywhere running this. And we are still amazed of how the tool cost savings, the tool life, and the reduction of cycle time this tool produces. It's better every year. The more we run it, the better it is.
And when I was talking to Scott and Joe in Long Beach, California, at the West Tech this last fall, you know, they were talking about different ways of getting the word out about this tool and this technology, and all the basically success stories or case studies that they had. And I think we thought at first that we were going to do one a month, something like this. But the truth is, they have customers willing to step up and talk about this with us in future episodes with Vargus. We are going to touch on other product lines.
Sure.
And we might come back to this one at some point in the
Well,
future.
we definitely want to showcase our Mach thread mill. It's a really exceptional, fast thread milling.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we have some of our really stable lines, MITM, solid carbide thread mills, our Mini Pro HD. We can thread mill 62 Rockwell. So we have a lot of products out there that maybe not everybody knows about, but we're going to start focus on each one of our podcasts. Hopefully we do a lot of them. I'm not sure, but this seems a lot of fun.
I'm game. I mean, and you know, what we're doing here right now is just finding out about it and learning whatever we can, and doing so in hopefully an entertaining fashion. How am I doing so far, Alan?
Oh, doing well.
Okay, all right.
And And I
Drink,
want to
drink.
tell all our watchers out there, we will get better at this.
Yeah,
This is our first time, and I am not a professional in front of a camera of no means, so we will get better.
We're doing the best we can with our made for radio faces and I speak for myself, okay?
But and like I said, each episode we'll have a new bourbon to talk about, and I'll try to investigate and get some little tidbits about how that bourbon was made.
Just so you know, that they provided a little gift glass of Vargus. You saw it in the opening intro, and we are using those glasses as we sit here and talk. We will keep taking questions. Looks like there might be one coming in. So John says the thread is 1/2 inch 12. Oh, what does that mean? Is that the
1/2 inch 12 UN in thread in steel.
Okay,
1/2 inch 12.
I'm not reading the shorthand too well.
Maybe it's supposed to be half 13.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Is it supposed to be 1/2 inch 13 UN steel, John, or is that?
Well, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. We can
yeah,
make any size you want. If
Right.
if it's a 12 pitch,
Yeah.
we'll take a 12 pitch insert and we can make it. It doesn't matter what size you got. We can do all the way up to 100 TPI, down to
1500 RPM.
Oh yeah,
Ah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay,
you can do
Ed,
that.
Ed says absolutely, and there you have it.
Yeah, it's not, that wouldn't be a problem. If you get, if you only had 50 RPMs for something like that, that'd be where the problem would be.
Oh, okay.
There are limits to things, but 1500 RPMs would be fine.
So I hope that helps, John. I appreciate you getting back to us with that.
And if he has a needs more detail, just go to VARGUSUSA.com. Send us a message there, and we'll get one of our application engineers. We'll get in touch with you and help you with it.
I'm
or
sure
anything
Ed
we
would
can
be
do.
happy to be.
Oh, absolutely.
Right now. So yeah, and this is our first time doing this. I would like to hear from anyone watching if you think this is a good time of day for this, because we've done webinars in the past, and we're still going to do webinars during the day. But it seems to me that that's taking time away from your jobs out there, and during the middle of the day. Thought this might be a good way for people who might not otherwise get a chance to learn directly from some of the companies and these experts, such as I have right in front of me, about some of the new technology that's out there. And this isn't brand new, but we're learning about its potential and its capabilities now, really, for the first time.
Every day we learn something new about how this new product will perform.
Yeah, sorry, Jeff. The question came in from Jeff. Will viewers get a chance to test samples of the bourbon? We're talking about doing that maybe at IMTS. We're going to bring this. We're going to bring a version of this to IMTS at our booth this year. Yeah, this year.
Yeah,
this
year is IMTS.
Yeah.
We're going to keep our theme of the bourbon in this, and we'll see what we can do. Come see us in person at IMTS. If you can't get a hold of your Vargus rep in your area, come see us.
Yeah, absolutely. So and stop by our booth. If they don't let us bring bourbon onto the floor, we'll fake it and bring apple juice. No, we are doing something like that. Will Mach TT be at IMTS?
Yes, it will. It'll be a focused feature at IMTS on a machine running in our booth is how we understand we're trying to. It's hard to do when you up at IMTS to get everything we want. But right now we're hoping to get a machine that will be running in our booth to show off the possibilities of the Mach system.
That's a good point. I mean, you've had a number of regional shows, and the SME shows, West Tech, East Tech last year, and by the fall, by the West Tech, you had amassed all this case study, success story, trying to kind of figure out how to get the word out. So
the word of mouth has been amazing. Each tool show we go to, we have more and more people hearing about this, and I need a test insert. I need someone to call me. I need somebody to show up at my shop. We have a huge problem on a large production run. We need to cut cycle time. We're getting more and more calls, more and more. It's the word is spreading out there. It just takes time. When you have results like this, a lot of people don't trust exactly what they see on print or hear until you come prove it to them.
Well, it's, yeah, I mean, and when you're talking about some of the
extreme changes, yeah, they are extreme, but
we have known in a couple of cases, we came in and helped them because they ran out of a special insert, and our Mach would fit the bill, and then the customer did not have to buy 2 more new lathes. We got the parts out the door, and they were still running 6 days a week, but they didn't have to buy 2 more lathes. So that was a huge savings.
What kind of savings is that? What do you think?
That was probably $700,000 a machine. I don't know. I haven't bought a machine for a while, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be that area.
I mean, when we talk about buying a machine in this industry, for anyone who's not familiar with manufacturing and machining and metal cutting specifically, some of these machines are more than $1 million. I'm not talking about specifically something that
you could get small tool room lathes and machines that are $100,000. You can go way over $1 million. It depends on what's your budget and what is your production rate you need to run. You know, if you need to run X number of pieces per minute, that machine's going to cost you some money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, wow. Can I get someone from Vargus to come look at my application in Michigan? I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. That is where I'm from. So if you can provide where you're at and what you need, I will
send it in there. Then we'll take your information and someone will get a hold of you.
Yeah.
You know, this is great. I really was wondering how, you know, the interaction would be with the audience, and I just think this is such an easier atmosphere for our audience to just kind of chime in with a question. Sure. And the guys in the control room back there are feeding us the questions that come in. So it's, I mean, these are good questions.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
sure
I'm
is.
just happy that, you know, this part is actually doing what I was hoping it would do.
Yeah.
Well, at Vargus, we believe in what we tell people and what we sell. So we will bring the tools in and test them. We will make them work, if possible, exactly what we said. We are determined to come in and help our customers one machine at a time or 50 machines at a time. Whatever you got, we will come in and help you.
Cool. What is this? Oh, we're getting a. Oh, I'm not sure if everyone's seeing that or not.
The guys in the back room.
And the guys in the back room are playing around with. I should
maybe
be
they've been drinking bourbon too.
Oh, yeah, by the way, I should mention that they are having some bourbon while we're doing this. So I hope you've been listening to this whole thing and not listening to like a Britney Spears album or something. Nothing wrong with Britney Spears. And I'm just saying, you know, you could be doing a lot of things right now. We really appreciate you being with us as we sip our bourbon and discuss this industry.
Sure.
I mean, for me, this hopefully can lead to getting more people interested in careers in manufacturing, just getting the word out about manufacturing, because it's
manufacturing is the place you want to be. If you maybe you don't want to be a doctor or a lawyer, but if you go into manufacturing, you make good money, good benefits. They train you on the job. It's amazing the offers and the opportunities you have once you realize that manufacturing is not a dirty, nasty job that used to be back in the 1950s or something. It is a great, great career that I've had for many years.
Yeah, it's when I first started covering this industry in 2007, you know, I think I was under the impression that, you know, machine shops were like greasy, dirty, you know, like, you know, you be prepared to don't go in there with your best clothes on, you know.
Sure.
And, you know, there are some shops that are still a little bit like that, but the vast majority at this point are automated, computerized. The CNC is everywhere. Even if they still have manual machines, it's clean. It's really clean,
It's
and
really safe. It's environmentally safe. They do everything possible to make sure that the parts come out of there are to standard. You never know if that part's going to go into an aircraft or into a human body or where it's going to go. So everything, when you manufacture something, it's all about how pride you make your parts, and everything's got to be correct. So there's some pride to it too.
and as you know, I've talked about before, the workforce shortage. The shortages of just skilled workers for
Sure.
this industry is kind of slowing down a lot of shops. I mean, they just don't have people they can bring in and pick up the slack, and so yeah, they're turning to automation. But even with automation, there are so many jobs that are going unfilled to basically run the automation.
That's
I
right.
mean, I might oversimplify here, but
You know, every robot out there, somebody's got to make the parts to make that robot. So, you know,
and
the
the
automation can come to the mundane job, the repetitive job, but you got to have machinists, operators, and people who can make the parts to make the robots to make the parts.
and these are full-time jobs, well-paid
Yes.
jobs, full benefits, and it's not like if you don't know what you're going to do after high school, it's not like you have to say, okay, well, I'm going to become a machinist. But you can. And after a few years, if you decide, hey, maybe I want to be an engineer and
A
help
programmer.
design
Yeah.
some of these
Sure.
tools down the road, they probably will. Whoever you're working for, they'll probably help you with your college education at that point,
Sure.
which to me is a lot better than going to a four-year university, not knowing quite what you want to do, and trying to figure it out as you go and spend that much money. It wasn't a big deal when I went to college, but we'd be hard pressed to go and become a journalist these days, and have to pay that kind of money afterward, getting that first job.
I didn't know what I wanted to be when I came out of high school, and I went to a factory and got onto an 8-year apprenticeship to be a machinist, and I've been doing that forever. That's all I've ever done. It's a great career. It served me well, and I raised a family and everything on it. It's a really, really good career.
Well, it is. And you know, we talked about it in the past on our own, and I'll be talking about that again, so I won't bore people too much right
I don't
now.
think we can ever talk about it enough.
No, we really can't. If anyone is interested in manufacturing as a career, please reach out to me or anyone in the industry, Vargus, anyone, and find out how you might, you know, learn more about what careers are available. You can go to our website and take a look at some of the different needs out there. There's so many needs. I mean, there's some statistics out there saying there's going to be like 2 million open positions, unfilled positions.
Sure.
What was it, by year 2030 or something like
Mhm.
that? It's just, there's just currently unfilled positions. Just know that. And if you just go out there and start looking for, if you're having trouble right now knowing what to do, you really can't go wrong trying your hand at making metal cutting. I mean, it's just the most mesmerizing thing you can watch. As you saw in some of these videos, that was slow motion videos. The sparks fly and the chips are peeled off. It's amazing to watch.
Sure.
It's a great industry to get involved in. Just a lot of fun for me. I think we should probably think about wrapping up. I want to make sure we've covered everything that we should cover here today.
Well, you know, I think we covered everything, and we talked about how ending this. I guess we just say it's time to pour another drink.
You know what? Let's get ourselves some. Oh, wait, it's
Wait,
right
wait.
here. I got turned around. This is my. Let's just say this is my second bourbon. Okay.
If you want to go with that, I'll go with that.
Yeah. Here we go.
Thank you, Dennis. And
Anybody in the background there? Out.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We're gonna come on. It doesn't matter if you're on camera. Scott. There you go. This is good stuff. It's a lot different from the Buffalo
Oh,
Trace.
thank you.
Not horribly. So
Yeah,
let me just say
cheers,
thank
and we're out
you.
here.
Thank you to Vargus for helping get this vision off the ground.
Wow.
Without you prodding me and us working together, this would not have happened. I started working on this set in November, and it's done now. We're here.
Yep.
And we've got our first one under the belt.
Right.
Thank you to you.
Cheers.
Yes,
Thanks.
thank you, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And we can begin working on our next bourbon with the editor.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone out there, if you have a favorite bourbon, you can share what that is, and maybe we'll drink one for one of the next episodes and discuss that. Maybe I'll do a few bourbon with the editors that are, do they use bourbon for like coolant? No, they don't.
You'd get a lot more people working in
but-
manufacturing.
That's right.
Might be
You
a
get
fire
that,
hazard.
you
I don't
get
know.
2 million people real quick.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks, Dennis.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Joe, thank you. Ed,
you.
thank you, Scott. Alan, Josh McGee, it's Joe's son in the control room with my son, and Will Nash, also from Vargus in the control room, helping us get this thing off the ground and having it run is, I don't know, I thought we did okay
Yeah.
for our first one.
Very nice.
We had
Maybe
a
we'll
little
get
trouble.
we'll get some comments, and maybe we
Yeah.
can figure out the little rough edges a little bit.
Yeah, let us know any suggestions anyone has. Let us know. And thank you.
Thank you.
I think we can wrap things up there, Tim. So long, everyone. Keep the interest alive out there for us. Let's spread the word.
Keep the highball glasses clean.
And again, cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.
Mm.